Hi everyone, it's B.Chavez from Evil Genius Sports Performance. I'd like to welcome you to this first issue of my video blog, and before I do anything, I'd like to thank all of you for watching the YouTube videos, checking in with us on Facebook, following us on Twitter, interacting with the website, which is www.evilgsp.com. Wanted to do this video blog for a long time, just haven't gotten to it, and also wrestled with where to start. Where do you begin with all this? The world of sports performance is enormous. Where's the place to start? And I committed that I'm going to do this. This is something I have to do. And a very good friend of mine made a very good suggestion, and that is, what question am I asked the most? What's the most common thing? Begin there. Well, without question, I answer dozens of emails every day, probably 100 a week, training this, diet that, nutrition the other thing, and every question always has a rider about supplements. Supplements are the buzz. It's always about supplements. Should I be taking this? Shouldn't I be taking that? Am I wasting my money? Am I not wasting my money? How much money should I spend? It's always something about supplements. So we're going to begin with supplements. Now, before I say anything, keep in mind that when I answer any question, it's always my approach. It's the Evil Genius Sports Performance approach. You ask a dozen other experts, you'll get a dozen other expert opinions. You won't get mine, so I'm definitely giving you the caveat of, this is the way I coach these things. This is the way I deal with these things. So the Evil Genius Sports Performance attitude towards supplements is to break them, roughly speaking, into 3 categories. There is definitely some carryover from category to category, but roughly speaking, 3 different categories. Category 1 is dietary supplements. These are vitamins, minerals, perhaps fatty acids that you add to your diet all the time, every day. You or your dietary overseer, your guru, your whatever you have, has determined that you have a very good diet. It's the appropriate diet for what you're doing, where you're at in time and space, appropriate for your sport, your age, all of that. However, that diet might be short in phosphorus, copper, manganese, vitamin A, zinc, and you supplement that diet with these things. Whether it just be a blanket multivitamin, multimineral, whether it's just a blanket fatty acid concoction, you are supplementing an already good, well-designed diet. These are things that are going to make your good diet better. That's category 1 of supplements. And these are also, in my opinion, by far the most important. This is what I prescribe to almost everyone based on their dietary outline. You need this. You need a gram of vitamin C a day. You need something. The second category is true sports performance aids. Most people, when they say supplements, they mean some magic compound is going to give them the edge. That's what they're thinking, at least in the context of sports performance, as most of you people watching this will think of it. To be honest, this is a category that I'm not a big fan of. You're talking about drug-like effects. You want something that acts like a drug and isn't categorized by the government or whoever's overseeing you. It's not categorized as a drug. Honestly, I don't trust these things. There's very few of them that I really believe work, and even less that I really believe are worth the money that are charged for them. However, a legitimate category of things, and there are some things in that category that are worth exploring. We'll definitely do that in a different video, but as a group, and just to give you some examples, in this group I would say things like creatine monohydrate, ALAs, green tea extracts, lots of other things that there's very specific chemical compounds, legal, and they have a mild, and potentially not mild, drug-like effect. They exploit a given specific within the physiology to elicit a response. Okay, so it's a kind of a drug like it. They're quasi-drugs, but they're legal. This is fine. You know, GNCs and other stores are full of these. The internet's full of things that'll sell it to you. Honestly, I don't touch on them very often, with the exception of I have a 5-year rule. I understand every company has to be cutting edge. They have to be exciting. They have to be new and have the product of the future. But in reality, most of the products of the future become quickly products of the past. Very few ingredients will really stand the test of time. Again, creatine monohydrate, definitely one of those. Chromium. These are not exciting things. They do work. They do generate a response. And for that reason, they've been around more than 5 years. So in the second category of drug-like supplements, those would be good examples. Legitimate category, don't really use it a lot in my own coaching and even in my own sports performance program for myself as an athlete, but definitely a legitimate category. And then the third category, third and final, is probably the most common, certainly the most revenue generating for the supplement companies, and that is protein powders, carbohydrate powders, even meal replacement products. The reality is, in the way the EvilGSP deals with sports performance, mind you, not everyone else, you'll get a lot of different answers. In the way we deal with things, the way I coach things, those are foods. Not a bad thing, nothing wrong with that. Food is good. Without food, we'd not be here to be talking about this. But those are foods. Very roughly speaking, if it has calories, I categorize it as a food. Protein powder is a food. At the end of the year, if you show me a dietary sheet and you say I ate this much protein and this much carbohydrates and this much per day, my first question is going to be, well, how much was protein powder? How much was food? How much was steak? How much was shrimp? Absolutely not. Protein, very roughly, is protein. There's definitely differences in quality, differences in digestibility, differences in speed of digestion. All of those are valid points, and in all of these products address those different points. However, they're still foods, they're still calorie laden, they still are treated in the big picture, roughly speaking, as foods. And most of the time they're very expensive foods, and they're oftentimes a little awkward. They're not as easy to work with. I mean, eating a handful of nuts, a boiled egg, a lot of things are just as protein laden, just as easy, a fraction of the price. I'm not knocking or denigrating these products. There are some very good products. There are some very good manufacturers manufacturing very good products. But as a category, I consider those food. They're more dealt with in the diet design because of convenience, preference, any of many things. I might recommend that the first meal of the day be, very roughly speaking, protein powder A in milk or water or even juice. And that's a meal, though. That is a food. That is no different than prescribing someone to have oatmeal and eggs. It's not really any different. It's different under the hood. The chemistry, speed of digestion, all of that's different. The nitrogen profile, okay, it's all different. But I guarantee you, I'm smart enough and clever enough to come up with a solid food meal that would do that exact same thing. For convenience sake, or as I said, preference sake, or a lot of other reasons, we can do that, and we do that. But as a category, protein powders, waxy maize, dextrose, maltodextrin, all these other things, Vitargo, they're food. Okay. Oh, but I eat that as my post-workout supplement. No, that's your post-workout meal. It's food. Believe me, it's food. Calories, food. Okay. No calories, like branched-chain amino acids, supplement. Possibly category 1, take it every day, all the time, supplement your diet. Possibly category 2, drug-like effect. But it's still no calories, not a food. Calories, food. So you've got these 3 categories. All the time, every day, fix or improve a diet. Taking a specific thing for a specific purpose, quasi-drug-like effect. And then you've got expensive packaged foods. Okay? So whenever a conversation breaks out about supplements from the Evil Genius sports performance context, these are the categories that we address. So that's a pretty good big overview. Going to wrap it up for today there, but want this as our benchmark. We can't communicate unless we have common language, and that's what this is meant to be. This is our common language on the subject of supplements. So every conversation that ensues from here, when we address category 1 specifically, 2 specifically, food, category specifically, this is the reference that we're going to be using. So when I talk about supplementing the diet with vitamin A, you know what I'm talking about. If I say taking product B for a drug-like effect, you know what I'm talking about. And then we can begin to see how this comes together to design a diet, a sports performance, a performance-enhancing diet, and a general scheme toward getting to your sports performance goals, which is, at the end, what this is about, what Evil Genius Sports Performance does, it's what I get paid for, and quite honestly, it's my passion. It's what I want to see. I want everyone out there that takes the time to hear my opinion, I want to make them better. I want to see them improve, and I want to see how good athletes can be. I'm really excited to see the athlete of the 21st century. I want to see the 3,000 pound totals. I want to see the 1,200 pound bench presses. I want to see the 8-second 100 meters, because this stuff is coming, and I'm excited to be part of it, and I'm excited to be on that curve and just almost be high enough to see over that edge, to see what's coming. So, as I said, going to wrap it up there. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, downloading the videos, watching the videos, and I want to strongly recommend interact. Put in your 2 cents. I hated that. I loved that. What about this? You didn't cover that. You look dumb in the beard. Interact. Have your say. Interaction's what makes all this go. We need to come together. We need to move forward as a group. Even in disagreement, it's positive to talk to one another. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Once again, B.Chavez, Evil Genius Sports Performance. Tune in, check out the website, www.evilgsp, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.